So again, this video, I'm just going to finish off the moon word here in terms of the depth. I'm not going to specifically show you guys how to color or shade the embellishments because, as I was mentioning previously, exactly how you do those portions is completely up to you. I don't want any of you to feel like you have to do your embellishments the same way I do mine, especially since the embellishment is actually not necessarily a required portion. So just going to make this sort of that limey, yellowy green again, so that it stands out more from the side one. Still working in layers so that that transition stays nice and smooth, because once again, that is one of the most important parts. Moving along to the next section here. So sort of like I've been talking about throughout the whole Visual Puns project, it's okay if you have to go back into a letter even after you feel like you have finished it. So for instance, if you finish all of your letters and then you feel like one of them is just lacking a little bit in terms of value or transitions or color, you can always go back into it. Don't feel like you have to do each letter as a once and done. You can absolutely embellish and add to the letters right up until the project is due, which right now is probably going to be next Friday, so October 30th. For this particular year, right now, seems like it's going to be our deadline. I will post on Google Classrooms a little more specifically to make sure that that works in terms of our timing, but that should be enough time. So once again, you see that I'm just working in layers to smooth everything out. I'll use a little bit of white in there as well. Kind of add some more white in other places too. And then I might even add some more yellow to this backspace here. Especially now that the other one is so bright, I want to make sure they're both equally bright. Go back over with some green to make sure that transitions nicely. And then I've got my M done. I've got both of my O's done. So now I'm just going to finish up with the N here. In very much the same way I've done these two portions. So I'm going to start with my red and put that red darkest closest to the letter. And then in this section, there's not going to really be much of a value shift between the O and the N, simply because there's not much space. And it's almost like it's all sort of in a crack down here. So it's going to be mostly dark. And then I'm going to have more of a value shift up here. So this will be primarily dark. This will have more of my value shift. I'll go ahead and put some red on this section. Because remember, you can work one section at a time. You can work one letter at a time. You can bounce around. Whatever works best for you is the way that you need to be working on this project, as long as you can create the value scales and nice smooth transitions that we are going for after you have gotten the word itself in proper linear perspective. So each person may have a slightly different method at this point, and that's fine. So once again, the next thing I'm going to do is add some orange in there, because as I was mentioning before, red and yellow are going to make orange anyway. So if I have some orange in there during my transition, it's just going to help make it even smoother. Still, nothing is abrupt. Still, everything is as smooth as we can make it. As I go from dark to light, Again, we got a bit of a corner in here. So it's going to have a value scale there. But you're also going to have the one that goes from front to back. Going to go into that now with some yellow like I did here. Remember treating that yellow almost as if it is the white. So very similarly to how I've used the white in other sections, I'm going to use the yellow almost to smooth out the rest of my transitions and to add sort of that lightest value to the back section of the depth that we see there. So then I'll go back in with a little more orange, maybe back in with a little more red, to really make sure that all my transitions are as smooth as I can make them. Especially in my larger areas where you can see more of the transition. That's when it's extra important to make sure that it's as smooth as you can get it. Which makes sense. Get some more of those values in there. Turn my paper. So then that might be the depth on the word moon completely finished. So I'll just kind of go through each letter. You can see the M there, the O with the pink and the purple, the blue with the different shades of blue, and then the N with the red, orange, and yellow combination. So that's just to show that you can use a different color in each letter. We've got the other example where I was working on this word, where I basically just used 3 different colors. I used some red, orange, and some violet to create my depth. We've got this example where I've got some red and some violet working together with a little bit of black to really enhance the depth that we see there. And then I've got my finished example where I have the word and the front of each word, or the front of each letter, I should say, had been colored. There had been embellishments added, and is completely finished. I did not outline the depth. You can see the pencil line there just a little bit. And once again, if you choose not to outline the depth, that's perfectly fine. But you do want to make sure that you lighten those pencil lines, keep them nice and clean and soft. So then the next video that I'm going to show you will have the word crab apple, which is, of course, the example that I've been working on in terms of the actual pun itself. And I'm going to specifically show you how to go from one color to the next within one specific shape or space of the depth portion on the cursive word here.